Hello and welcome to your day 9 of the Android application development course. Today we'll be starting with PHP. In PHP, we'll be developing applications on the web so that all the interaction that we do from the Android cell phone via the web server is through PHP. Suppose I want to connect two cell phones together with the help of a web server, then that web server has to be built with the help of PHP. With that knowledge, let's start with PHP. First of all, let me tell you how do we install PHP. You have to install WAMP. WAMP is a software which is given to you on your DVD. Then follow the installation steps and restart the computer. WAMP stands for W is for Windows, A is for Apache. Apache is the web server that will be installed on your computers. M is for the MySQL database and P is for the PHP programming support. So the web server that you have on your computer is an Apache web server. That web server is running a PHP code in the background, and that PHP code has the backend as a MySQL database. That is why you are doing the installation for WAMP. PHP codes run on the server of Apache. It is a server-side coding language that you have to understand, that the PHP language will be running on the server and it will be giving you an output HTML which will be displayed on the client's browser. So whatever programming you do on PHP will output an HTML. That HTML will be displayed on the client's browser. Now first of all, let's understand what is the need of learning PHP. Whenever you are doing web programming, at that time you will be needing a backend support, that is a database support, and some programming syntax. Most of the browsers support JavaScript, but JavaScript cannot handle databases because databases are kept on the server side, whereas JavaScript is a client side language. So you need a native server side language which can access all the databases, which should have all the programming capabilities, and which should be able to output an HTML. For that we use PHP. The Apache server that you will be installing will be by default installed at http://localhost. So if you have installed WAMP on your computers and you go to your web browser and type http://localhost, then you'll be able to get the web page of PHP. First of all, we have to dissect the word localhost. The meaning of host is that your PC is hosting something. To be more precise, your PC is hosting the Apache web server, and because you are doing that locally, that's why we call it as localhost. The localhost has an IP address of 127.0.0.1. So in your browser, if you type http://localhost or http://127.0.0.1, both will give you the same output. First of all, let's understand the full form of PHP. PHP stands for PHP home pages. It is a recursive full form where P stands for PHP itself. PHP files end at an extension of .php, and the main index file of any website is index.php. For example, if you visit facebook.com, then you are actually visiting facebook.com/index.php. Okay, so that is the main index page of Facebook. Similarly, if I visit fitech.co.in, then the starting page that will be displayed on your web browser is fitech.co.in/index.php. So that is the main index page of any website. WAMP is installed on all our computers at the location C drive/WAMP/www. The meaning of www is World Wide Web. So for the WAMP server, all the websites will be stored inside C drive/WAMP/www. So to create a new website, we have to simply create a new folder inside C drive/WAMP/www. So if I create the folder name testing, then my website will be testing inside the WAMP server. And to open the website, we have to go to http://localhost/testing. Okay, so this path http://localhost points to the C drive/WAMP/ www folder. If inside this folder you have created a testing folder, then you have to access it by saying http://localhost/testing. Okay. We must create all our PHP code inside the website's main folder. For example, the files should be stored at C drive vam testing/file1.php. How do we access this? We'll access it by going to http://localhost/testing/file1.php. Okay, so we can access it by going to http://localhost/testing, which is the website name, /file1.php. First, let's set up our test website, that is the website on which we'll be doing all our testing. To set up the website, we'll create a folder inside C drive/vam/www and name the folder as practice. In the browser, we'll go in and type http localhost/practice. So this localhost will point to C drive vam www. Inside this I have practice, so I'll just press /practice. Once I'm done, if we do not get an error, then we have successfully set up the test website. That is, we have just created a folder inside C drive vam www and we are trying to access that folder from the web browser. Okay, as soon as you will type http://localhost, you will be getting the following page on your web browser. There are some things to note over here. First thing is that the WAMP version that you're using is WAMP 5, which contains PHP 5, MySQL 5, and it contains the version of the Apache server as 2. So the Apache version is 2.2.6 and PHP version is 5.2.5 and MySQL version is 5.0.45. In the DVDs you might have got a new version, but the numbers will be similar. That is, we'll be using WAMP 5, which contains PHP 5, Apache 2 and MySQL 5. Then we have some tools over here. These tools are PHP info, that contains the information about the PHP installation. Then we have PHP MyAdmin, which is the MySQL database manager. Then you have SQLite manager. This is a very small implementation of SQLite for PHP. You can also have a look at that. Then you have our projects, that is all the projects inside C drive/vam/www folder will be displayed over here. So far so good. Let's start with some basic output using PHP. Inside the practice folder, let's create a file and name it as echo_test.php. Inside this file, we'll type in $PHP. This indicates that we are starting with the PHP tag. Whatever coding goes after this is the coding of PHP. So whenever such a code is taken by the browser or taken by the server, this PHP code is executed first. Whatever is the output of this PHP code will be replaced over here and you will be getting that output in the browser. So we'll just say echo hello world. Echo is a command of PHP. Whatever echo you will do after echo will come at the output and you'll have question mark greater than sign. Anything that you write inside the less than question mark PHP and question mark greater than sign is a PHP code, and when the web server comes across this PHP code, it will replace this complete tag with the output of the PHP code, and at the browser you will be only getting the output. You will not be getting the PHP file, you will just be getting the output. That's fine. Anything we type after the echo command is passed on the browser as plain HTML text. So if we need to display hello world in bold and italics, then we'll be writing, and then we have a next line in which I have how are you. To do that, we'll be having the code less than question mark PHP that embarks the beginning of PHP code. Then we'll have echo BI. B and I are bold and like italic tags of HTML language. Inside this, I'm passing hello world. BR slash indicates a line break because I want a new line over here. After the new line, I want to type how are you, so I'll be having how are you, and after this I want to close the italic tag and the bold tag, so I'll be doing it like this. This will output the plain HTML hello world how are you in bold italics and in a new line. and we'll close the PHP tag. That was about the basic output that you can get in PHP. Now let's see how to perform basic arithmetic operations with PHP. Variables in PHP will start with a dollar sign. Whatever variable you want to declare, you have to declare it with the help of a dollar sign. And you do not have to initialize or declare any variable before using them. That means if you want to use a variable, say $a, then you don't have to declare $a as in $a, in $b, etc. You have to just use it directly. PHP will take care of all the initializations and everything of the variable. You just have to use it. All arithmetic operations are supported by PHP, that is plus, minus, multiply, divide, modulus, etc. Let's create a new file with the named arith_test.php and write less than $PHP, that embarks the starting of PHP. Then we have $num1 equals to 10. That indicates we are declaring a number 1 or a num1 variable with the value 10. We also have $num2 equals to 20. If you can appreciate that, we are not initializing the variables or we are not declaring the variables, we are just giving them values. Then once we have got num1, num2, we can straight away say result equals to num1 plus num2, and this num1 and num2 should be with a dollar sign. Then we can say echo $num1 plus $num2 equals to $result and close the. This will output 10 plus 20 equals to 30 at the output. Once we are done with the basic arithmetic in PHP, we'll go to some condition checking in PHP. Suppose I declare a variable named $age equals to 19. If I'll check if $age is more than 18, echo you can vote, else echo you cannot vote. So this is how you check conditions with PHP. If the age is more than some value, you will echo you can vote, else you will echo you cannot vote. Similar switch case statements with break is also available with PHP. If you will have switch $choice, then you can have case A, case B, case C. This is similar to the C programming language. You can try with the syntax of switch case, but switch cases are not mostly used with PHP because you have the if-else statements. Once we are done with condition checking, we can move along with loops in PHP. Loops in PHP are similar to loops in C language. PHP supports for and while loops. To use for and while loops, you can straight away say for $count equals to 0, $count is less than 10, $count plus plus. It will initialize the value of count to 0, take it from 0 to 9 and make count plus plus, and we'll echo $count br slash. So at the output we'll get 0, in next line 1, in next line 2, and then up till 9. The similar C-like statements are available for the while and do while loop with PHP. So if you are conversant with the C language, you can try out the while and do while loops. We'll be doing it in the let's do it section. So let's do it and try to have all the statements that we covered up till now: the echo statement, the arithmetic statement, the if-else statement, switch case statement, for statement, while statement, do while statement. Before starting with the let's do it of PHP, let us first give you a guide through of how to install the WAMP server on your computers. Before installing the WAMP server, make sure you have Visual C++ runtime available on your PCs. We'll be providing you all these files on the DVD. You have to just make sure that you install these 3 files before you have actually installed the WAMP server. The WAMP server has to be double clicked. You can click on next, accept the agreement, next, 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 and install. It will install the phpMyAdmin, the Apache server, and the WAMP server, etc. on a complete computer. Once you are done with that, then this WAMP setup will ask you to choose your default browser. The default browser in your case is your Explorer. So we just present inside the C drive Windows /explorer.exe. Click on it and press open. It will ask you for your SMTP. The SMTP is used when you send mails from your WAMP server, but right now we don't want to give any SMTP. The email ID that you want to send your mails from can be your name @yourcompany.com. It is not essential to give this thing. You can click on next and you can say launch WAMP server 2 now. When you click on finish, on the taskbar you will be getting a W icon like this. Wait till the icon becomes green. As soon as the icon turns green, you can go to start and go to internet and click on localhost or type in localhost. When you type in localhost, your WAMP server's localhost will be called. Make a point that when you click or finish start localhost, at that time inside the C drive, inside the WAMP folder, there is www. This folder gets called by default when you say http://localhost. Now by default this localhost has been hosted on port number 80 of your computer. To verify that thing, you can give localhost :80. This indicates that your WAMP server is on port number 80. If you will give anything else, say port 85, it will not accept because there is nothing called as port 85 in your computers yet. So I'll just give it localhost. In some of your PCs, this localhost might not work if you have something called as IIS installed. IIS, Internet Information Services, that is a Microsoft based server that has been installed so that you can run ASP.NET applications. If that is the case in your PCs, then there is a turnaround for it. To enable WAMP server on your computers, even if you have IIS server installed, you can simply click on the WAMP server. Make sure you left click it, not right click it. When you left click on it, a menu like this will appear. Over here, go to Apache and click on the configuration file for the Apache server. Over here, you have to search for port 80. As you can see, there is listen 80 over here. This indicates that you're listening on the port 80 for the WAMP server. I'll change this to port 85 and press file and save. It will save the file for your computers. Then you have to simply restart the server. To do that, you can click on the W fold icon and say restart all services. It will actually restart the WAMP server. Once you restart the WAMP server, now localhost will not work, whereas localhost :85 will work. This indicates that you have installed WAMP server on port 85. In the complete tutorial, I have also installed the WAMP server on port 85 because in my PC as well I have the IIS server and the WAMP server together. But in case you don't have the IIS server with you, you can simply discard this :85 and go with the localhost directly. To revert back, just click on the WAMP server again, Apache, go to the configuration file, again change this to 80, save this thing, and then restart your WAMP server. By doing this, you will be able to actually start the WAMP server on port number 80. And if I'll do it localhost, it will come at port number 80. So let's do it for the first slide of PHP. We have to first set up a test website. For that, inside the C drive WAMP www folder, right click and say new folder. Let me give the folder name as practice. This indicates that whenever I'll be accessing practice, I'll be doing it by saying http://localhost, which will reach the www folder. Inside this folder, I want the practice folder, so I will say http://localhost/practice. By default, the localhost is hosted at port 80. That is, it is a virtual port 80 on your computer. But as in my PC, I have installed WAMP with IIS. So IIS, that is the Microsoft server, has been installed at port 80. So I have installed WAMP at port 85. I'll be having my main website or the Chrome browser. I'll be going to http://localhost:85. This will open the WAMP server. The WAMP server is actually this folder, or this index.php file is being displayed over here. Out of this index.php file, I want to go to the practice folder. So I'll just click on practice, or I can straight away type /practice. This indicates that I am successfully able to set up my test website. The first thing that we want to do over here is we want to test some hello world programs. So for that, we can come to our practice folder, right click and say new text document. Inside this, I will say echo underscore test dot php. Okay, so this is your main file that is being run over here. We'll double click on the file. A programmer's notepad will open. You can have this thing in any notepad, that's not a problem. I prefer programmer's notepad because it gives me the basic syntax highlighting. Now I'll just go to PHP and make /PHP. This indicates that I am starting the PHP bracket and ending the PHP bracket. Then I'll say echo hello world. What this will do is when I will go to the browser and say /echo underscore test dot php, it will actually give me, sorry, I just misspelled that. I will say echo underscore text. It will give me the output hello world. This hello world indicates that whatever echo I am doing from here is being echoed on the output. If I will echo hello world br/bold, how are you doing today? The br/ means it's a line break. The B indicates it's a bold tag, so I have to close the bold tag. I'll just /B. If I'll refresh this, I will get hello world, how are you doing today? Okay, this how are you doing today is in a bold syntax that indicates that you have able to give the output in the form of a plain HTML. If you will view the source of this, you can go to the options of this and go to tools and view source. You'll be able to see that the PHP part is not echoed, but whatever is passed in the echo command has been echoed as the HTML of it. Okay, so your PHP logic remains intact. The browser will just display the HTML part of it. So far so good. If I want to echo a table, how can I do that? I'll say echo table echo tr. This indicates that's a table row. I'll say echo th, that's the table header. I'll say name /th. Say echo again th age /th, and let me just give echo /tr. This indicates I am closing the table row. Then I will have echo tr again, that is one more table row. Over here I'll fill the data by td. Let me give the name as Ashwin /td. Let me give over here again a echo td. Let me give the age as 25 /td. Let me give echo /tr. That indicates I'm closing the row. Then I will say /table. This indicates that the table has been closed. Now if you'll come to the browser and refresh it, you'll be able to get the data in a tabular format. Using this, you can perform any HTML at the output. Over here, we are just giving the table at the output. Now let's move to the next part. We have the next part as the condition checking. So I can go to straight file and new PHP file. Maybe I'll be having a PHP file over here. The PHP file, I'll just start with PHP, close with PHP, give the file name over here as condition test.php. Then I'll just give age equals to 25. If $age is less than 18, then let me say echo you cannot vote. Else if $age is more than or equal to 18 and $age is less than 200, then I can say echo you can vote. Else I can say echo invalid age. Now how do I run this thing in the browser? I'll go to localhost. That will come to the World Wide Web folder. Inside the www folder I have the practice. Inside practice I have the file named as condition_test. So I'll say condition underscore test dot PHP. Give me the output. You can vote because the age was 25. If I give the age as 14, it will give me the output you cannot vote. If I give the age as 1400, it will give me the output invalid age. This is how you can perform basic checking of conditions through the PHP part. Let's come to loops. Loops in our case we'll be using a for loop, or we can also check out the switch case statement first. For switch case statement, you have to simply create a new file. I can create a new file by pressing Ctrl N. It will make a new file for me. I will give PHP and save the file as switchcase.php. The syntax for switch case is similar to the syntax of switch case in C. For that, we have to just define a choice. Say I give a choice as Y. Then if I say switch $choice, how do I say that in C? I say case. If the case is Y, then I will echo you selected yes. We have to give a break statement as well. I'll say case N and a colon. I can say echo you selected no, break. I'll say case, or I can say just default echo no case was selected. If I want, I can give a break, or it's not required if you don't want it. But to keep the syntax in a proper manner, you can give a break over here. It will not affect the code basically because default is the last statement, so it will come out eventually. I'll go to the browser now and I'll just give over here the name of file is switch underscore case. So let me give switch underscore case dot PHP. It'll give me the output you selected yes because there was Y over here. If I give N, it will give me you selected no. If I will give X, it will say no case was selected. So this is a simple example of a switch case statement. Switch cases can take like any values. You can give a name, you can give a number, you can give anything. For example, if I give over here 1 and say case, the case 1 over here, it will give you selected 1. I'll give case 2, you selected 2. Default no case was selected. This will also work properly because whatever type of choice you give over here, that type is directly taken in the case statement. Let's now go to loops. For the loop statement, I'll just create a new file and give it the PHP syntax. I'll give loops test.php. Over here, what I will do is I'll just create a for loop. $count equals to 0, $count is less than 10, $count plus plus. I'll just say echo value of count is, how do I combine two strings with a dot sign? I will have count, and again I want a br slash, or let me just first run this thing and show you if you don't add a br slash what will happen. Everything will come one after the other, but we want it to come in a new line. We'll do that thing by adding br slash, but when we run the output by saying practice slash loops underscore test dot php, give me the output value of count 0, value of count is 1, value of count is 2, and so on. But all of this is coming in the same line. So what I'll do is I'll just add a dot and double quotes br slash. This will indicate that add a new line after every output. So I'll be getting value of count is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Similarly, you can try yourself for the while loop. While loops are also very simple. You will have count equals to 0 while $count is less than 10. You can say echo value of count with while loop is, you can say dot $count, and then you can again have a br slash so that you can get the output properly, and you have to say count equals to count plus 1. If you will not do the count equals to count plus 1, the request will hang at the server itself and the browser will go to a state of processing. So that is a bad sign. Because of that, you have to just give count equals to count plus 1 so that the loop keeps on incrementing. Refresh this, you will be getting the value of count with the while loop as well.